Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. It is that time of the month, time to talk about my favorite albums that were released this past month, May 2024. Another stacked month, especially a month that has 5 release weekends. It's always harder to narrow down these lists when there's 5 release weekends instead of 4, but I tried to limit this to 20 albums, so there's a lot of stuff that was in the mix to make this list, but just didn't quite make it. But I got a good mix here, as usual. Mostly black metal, but still a few from other genres sprinkled in there as well. Before I get into my list, I just want to give you a quick update for what you can expect for the next couple months, because my content is going to be slowing down quite a bit for June and July. I will be heading off on vacation in June and not back until July, so I'm not going to have that many videos for you over the next little bit. You can look forward next week to me finishing off my series about my coast-to-coast favorite bands from Canada. I've got the East Coast to talk about, so I'll have that coming up. I'll probably have one more video for you in June, but then probably won't be much until I'm back in July. So my albums of the month for June will definitely be delayed because I'll have a lot of stuff to catch up on once I'm back. But anyways, you'll hear more about that when I'm back. Let's just get into this list. 20 albums from May that you should go check out if you have not. All right, kicking it off, going with Krati and their album Matka Koti. Probably mispronouncing this, or sorry, Matka Koti Kosmista. I missed the last word in the album title. Can't read my own writing. This is some Finnish black metal, if you couldn't tell by my awesome pronunciation. But yeah, this is very typical of the raw Finnish style with a little bit of melody thrown in there. Just straight, aggressive, in-your-face, Finnish-style black metal. So maybe not the most original thing out there, but it's very enjoyable. If you're into this style at all, definitely go check this out. Yeah, Krati just cracking my list. Up next, I'm going with Botanist and the new album Paleobotany. So if you're unfamiliar with this band, these guys are from the USA. This is like experimental post-black metal. It's very unique and different. You almost get a vibe of a band like Alcest in spots with the kind of soothing black gaze that they've got going on. It's just got that like lush, relaxing atmosphere, but there are still some harsher, aggressive moments as well. If you're into unique sort of black metal, post-black metal, definitely go give this one a listen. It's strange, but definitely worth checking out. Up next, I'm going with Riot V or Riot 5 with Mean Streets. So if you're unfamiliar with this band, change that. These guys are legends, at least in their earlier days. They've had lots of different eras of the band. This is like traditional heavy metal mixed with power metal from the USA. This album, I would definitely not put on par with their best. I mean, albums like Thundersteel are all-time classics. This one's pretty straightforward compared to that, but when I say that, it's also a ton of fun. Like, yeah, maybe they're not reinventing the wheel here or doing anything too outstanding, but like the musicianship is tight. There's catchy songs. A handful of these tracks are really going to stick in your head. Maybe it's not winners every single track along the way, but if you're just looking for some fun, old school, heavy / power metal, definitely go check out this album. It'll put a smile on your face. There's still great choruses, great to sing along to and play some air guitar to. All in all, pretty fun album. Up next, I'm going with Rotting Christ and the new album Pro Christou. So another legendary band, Greek black metal legends, although these days is there much black metal left in their sound? Not so much. This is more like epic, gothic, folky black metal, with the black part of the black metal being very pushed to the distance. I will say this is very epic sounding throughout, but it's also very similar sounding throughout. It's repetitive, and a lot of the songs kind of follow the same flow and format. Like, the atmosphere on this album is on point, but I feel like the songwriting could be a little bit better. It's kind of on par with their last few releases. I did see Rotting Christ live back at the beginning of April, and I gotta say I was a little bit disappointed in their live performance because they focused more on newer material rather than the old black metal stuff that I wanted to hear. They still sprinkled a couple songs in there, but that's kind of my impression of this album too. It's not bad by any stretch, but it's just not really taking too many chances. They kind of played it safe, and it very much feels the same throughout, but it still has a very epic atmosphere that will suck you in, so it's not like garbage. I still enjoy this album. It's just not necessarily one that I'll be going back to a ton. Up next, let's switch up the genres here. Go with Flamekeeper with their self-titled full-length debut. This is a one-man epic heavy metal band. Another one that maybe is not super original, but this is just a ton of fun. It is so catchy. You will be singing along. Just a pretty good time from start to finish. You will be pumping your fist in the air, chugging some beer, singing along to this. I am the Flamekeeper. Like, it's just ingrained in my head, and I haven't even listened to this album that much. But yeah, it's just solid. It's a ton of fun. Go check them out if anything I just said sounds like it might be up your alley. Up next, I'm going with Nocturnus AD and their new album, Unicursal. So this is some technical death metal from the States. Of course, this is formed from the ashes of the band Nocturnus, which if you haven't checked them out, go check out their debut, The Key, which was really standout for the time. Technical death metal with some keyboards, which was very unique, and they still do that to this day here in Nocturnus AD. It's full of great riffs, complex songwriting. I will say the vocals are a little bit one-dimensional and maybe hold it back a little bit. They still got the keyboards, still got the experimentation going on. All in all, it's a pretty fun listen, takes you some different places. So if you're unfamiliar with the band, go check out the old material as well. But it's a pretty solid album, and that's why it's on my list. Up next, I'm going with Rhapsody of Fire and their new album, Challenge the Wind. So Rhapsody of Fire, or Rhapsody as they were originally called, they're pretty much making this list by default at this point. I have been a fan of them for so long, but they've gone through so many reiterations of the band, different lineups. This new era is definitely the weakest era of the band, in my opinion. This album, it's not like offensively bad or anything. I just find it kind of bland compared to their past glories. This is just straight ahead, like, it's still catchy power metal. There's nothing, like I said, nothing bad about this. It's just not that stand out. I used to get so excited when these Italian legends would drop a new album, but these days I see it's coming out and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go listen to it, but like their last couple albums just aren't ones that I really go back to, and I don't think this one's gonna be either. It's a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless, it's still a decent power metal album. It's just hard to live up to what they've done in the past, and it definitely doesn't do that. But it's still enjoyable. Still go check it out. Form your own opinions. Rhapsody of Fire, a great band overall. Just maybe in the back stages of their career, it's not as strong as what it used to be. Up next, I'm going with Hellbutcher and their self-titled debut album. So this is some old school, thrashy black metal. Old school being the key word here. This features the vocalist from Niflheim, Hellbutcher. So you know what you're getting right there. This is just in your face, like 80s worshipping black metal with the thrashy elements, like old school Bathory vibe. These guys are from Sweden. You know what you're getting here. This is just great music to party to. If you're like me and you think old school black metal is good party tunes, maybe that's not everyone's typical go-to for a party, but it's just got that fun vibe to it that I absolutely love. Fun energy. It's like a youthful energy, which, I mean, these guys are getting up there in age, but it's a fun album. If you're into like black and thrash metal, definitely go check this out. Up next, I am going with Wormwood with their new album, The Star. So this is some melodic, very melancholic black metal from Sweden. This band has had a very solid discography to date, and this one is no exception. It's just so emotional. They really lay on the emotion thick here, and the melancholy seeps through the music. Each of their albums has kind of always thrown you a curveball or two in there as well, and this one's no exception on that front, either bringing in some different influences and different styles even from song to song. But yeah, all in all, very well done. This did just come out this past Friday, so I really haven't spent that much time with this. This could rise up even higher as I spend more time with it. As usual with these lists, don't take this ranking like too much to the heart, because this will surely change. A lot of these albums are still very fresh in my mind. This is based on first impressions. So just because something's farther down on the list doesn't mean in a few more months it may not be right at the very top of the list. But nonetheless, first impressions, very strong as with the rest of their discography. Go listen to Wormwood. Up next, another legendary band, Warlord, with their new album, Free Spirit Roar. So this is more of an underground legendary band. It feels a bit strange to even call this a Warlord record, to be honest, because their founding member passed away. This is almost like a tribute to him. They did keep songs that he had written and like riffs that he had written to kind of piece this together like a tribute to him. So in that sense, it's okay. It still seems odd that it's a new Warlord album and he's not there. But nonetheless, like, this is US power metal, traditional heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. Go check out their early material. They are not well enough known, and their early stuff is top-notch, amazing. This maybe isn't on the same level as that early stuff, but it still has very catchy tunes that are really well put together, songs that will stick in your head. The riffs are great, even though it's not the original guy playing them anymore. It's got the same vibe. This, where like Warlord inspired bands like Hammerfall, at this point it almost seems like Hammerfall has inspired this era of Warlord, if that makes sense. Like, some of these songs kind of remind me of a Hammerfall song, but nonetheless, very solid album. Just missed out on my top 10, but it's a very solid album that you should go check out. Now we are into the top 10, my 10 favorite albums from the month of May. Kicking it off in 10th, I'm going with Witherfall on their new album, Sounds of the Forgotten. So this is some progressive heavy metal mixed with power metal, a very unique band and unique sound. This is another one that just came out, so I haven't spent nearly enough time with it, but I listened to the pre-release singles quite a bit before this album came out. If you're unfamiliar with this band, it really features a lot of complex songwriting, which you would expect with progressive metal, but this could be described as like old school Savatage meets maybe like Charred Walls of the Damned, just because the singer reminds me so much of Tim Ripper Owens, like timbre to his voice. So kind of something in that vein. If anything like that sounds like it would be up your alley, strongly suggest you go check out Witherfall, all of their albums, but check out the new one as well. Just really engaging songwriting with powerful vocals, really well done stuff. That's why it cracked my top 10. Up next in 9th, I'm going with Vredhammer with their new album, Godslayer. So this is some blackened death metal from Norway. This album is just full of bangers. The drumming is heavy. The riffs are heavy, like double kicks, blasts, just riffs that you are going to be headbanging to from front to back on this album. The vocals maybe hold it back a little bit. They're a little bit one-dimensional, kind of the same monotone throughout, but don't let that hold you back too much. It doesn't hold the album back too much. This is just a solid album to just riff to, headbang to. It fucking thrashes, it kills. Solid album in 9th place. Let's switch it up once again with a very hard one to describe, and that is Mark Graf with the new album, Hohenbaden. This is some blackened heavy metal, very weird and unique for sure. They're doing their own thing here. This almost sounds like if Cirith Ungol went black metal. Like, the vocalist here very much reminds me of Tim Baker from Cirith Ungol, but more in a black metal setting. But even when I say a black metal setting, like, the riffs here are still like traditional heavy metal with doom, with black metal. It's all over the place. They don't even stick on one thing for too long. Within the same song, they'll switch genres almost. It's very interesting. Really love the vibe on it. It's just an interesting take on combining all these influences together, but all in all, very enjoyable listen. Solid album. Go check out Mark Graf if you want your mind just blown with insanity. Up next, let's go with some more black metal with Hordem Rife with their new album, Den Vrede Macht. This is some more Norwegian black metal. The main dude behind the band is the former drummer from Keep of Callison. He does everything here except for the vocals. And yeah, one of the best drummers out there for sure. And I just love this style of black metal. I love the song construction. I love the song writing. And I just love everything about this album. It just flows so smoothly. And it just sucks you in with its evilness. And just great riffs, great songs. Like, everything about this, it's great all around. I'm running out of adjectives. Great, great, great. But solid album. Go listen to Hordem Rife because they kick ass. And this album is no exception. Up next in 6th, I'm going with Gatecreeper and their new album, Dark Superstition. So this is some US death metal, but they really switched it up this time around. It brings in a major like Swedish death metal influence, and more specifically, a huge injection of like mellow death, which is a little bit different than what they've done on their previous albums. They always kind of had like some hardcore leanings. And me personally, I don't really like hardcore at all. So when something sounds too hardcore-ish, core-ish, it's not really for me for the most part, but it doesn't really ruin it here. Maybe the vocals aren't my absolute favorite, but it still suits the music. This is almost like maybe too much to a fault. It sounds like Dismember, but I really like Dismember, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. They've changed up their style a little bit from the first two albums, but it still sounds like Gatecreeper, and these riffs and songs are going to stick in your head. Like, this is a very catchy album, very solid release. So yeah, go check this out if you haven't. Great death metal record. Just missed my top 5, but these could have been in there. Now we're into the top 5, my 5 favorite albums from the month of May. Give you a sec to try to guess them. Here we go. In 5th place, some Canadian content. Unleash the Archers with their new album, Phantoma. This is one of the best Canadian power metal bands, easily. I've been a fan of this band for a very long time. Seen them live a handful of times as well. When I first heard this album, I was actually a little bit disappointed in it, but this is more of a grower, I think. As I've spent more time with it, I have enjoyed it more than the first couple listens. I will still say I don't think this is honestly their best album. It's one of their weaker albums, but it still is full of great songs. Like, the vocals are top notch. They've tried some different things here. Most of these songs are pretty great. There is one song on here that holds it back from being as good as it could be. The kind of ballad in the middle kind of ruins the flow of the album to me, in my opinion. It's the one song that I'm pretty much skipping every time I listen to this album. It just hasn't really resonated with me. But other than the one track, pretty much every other song is a winner here. A very solid power metal released by a very solid power metal band. Go check it out. Let's move this along. Up next, in 4th place, I'm going with Acroliths and their new album, Bellum 2. So this is a one-man band from Australia. This is another one that's hard to describe. This is like neoclassical, folky black metal. It almost has like a cinematic approach in a way. It's very unique. I really dig this album a lot. I will say, I think I prefer his first 2 albums to this one. It's not a knock on this one. All of them have been very good. This one's not hitting me quite as hard as the other 2 albums, but don't let that be a detractor. This is still very engaging and very amazing music. Like how one guy composes all this and puts it together is pretty outstanding. It's pretty mind-blowing that one dude is doing all this. But yeah, it's a unique approach. It's a unique album. Go give it a listen. If anything I said sounds like you might enjoy it. All right, we got 3 more to go. In 3rd place, I'm going with Saidan and their new album, Visual Kill, The Blossoming of Psychotic Depravity. Very long album title. This is some US black metal, but it's unique when I just say US black metal. This has like a romantic horror vibe to it, if that makes sense. They bring in like some punky elements as well to really give it this unique sound. It's raw and unhinged at times, and it's definitely over the top. Like, go check out a couple of their music videos that they released for this album, and it'll probably make you laugh. It's hard to take it too seriously with their corpse paint and just the whole vibe going on, but nonetheless, musically, I really dig this. I love the artwork. I like the whole vibe and style that they're going for here, and yeah, I applaud them for putting out a great album. As silly as they may look, it is great music contained within. So yeah, the songcraft was outstanding here. A really solid black metal release. Go check them out. All right, 2 more to go. In 2nd place, some more Canadian content with Sig Artir and new album Citadel of Stars. So this is another one-man band. This is some like folky, epic Viking black metal is maybe the best way I can describe this. Just heathen glory. This would be for fans of bands like Epic Bathory era meets like Falkenbach, but with a real injection of like skillful neoclassical guitar playing. And like his guitar wizardry here is amazing, and it's just over top of this gigantic wall of sound. The atmosphere and soundscape created not just on this album, but every Sig Artir album is just top notch. This is his first album in 8 years. There's a long wait, but well worth it. The album art too, come on, look at that. So goddamn amazing. Absolutely love everything this project has ever released, and this one is no exception. This one also just came out, but I'm putting it this high on my list because even just after a few listens, it's already blowing me away. Absolutely love it. Top tier stuff. Go check out every Sig Artir album and definitely go listen to the new one. That just leaves one. If you've been watching my channel this month, and not just this month, if you've watched my channel really in the past, this will be no surprise. Horn with the new album, Dødsvjørk. Another one-man band, pagan black metal from Germany. I talk about this band all the time on the channel, but that's because it's one of my favorite musicians and one of my favorite bands out there. So maybe I'm a bit biased putting this at number one, but I don't care. This is a great fucking album. It's not just because of my bias. It's because it's a great album. 10 albums into the discography and he's still releasing banger after banger after banger. This is top shelf stuff. The vocals are really on point. He's kind of dialed back the folkiness compared to the last couple albums. On this one's more of a straight ahead approach, but these songs are still so catchy and will stick in your head. You got the clean singing parts, you got the harsh vocals, and this one's really like bass and drum heavy, like the low end heavy on this, and it just pounds, it crushes, and these songs are goddamn amazing. Absolutely love this project, I love this band, I love this album. That's why it's in number one. So yeah, those are my opinions. Let me know your picks down below as usual. I always love to get some new stuff to listen to, so give me your picks down there. And until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out.